on. Think.
Alright, guys, welcome back to the Dragon Guide DOA6 edition, and we're at our final, I guess momentarily final part of the guide. This time we'll be covering something that I'm sure a lot of you are excited for, probably have been looking forward to the most. And yeah, this is the part in which we are going to turn big brain and we are going to ascend as Doggo League players. But yeah, we're going to be covering various bits of tech, you know, miscellaneous things, stuff that I've discovered myself or that I've heard from other people. But yeah, these are going to be more esoteric, more situational setups and things that you can utilize, but they're still very strong. So it will be important for you to keep them in mind. But yeah, with that introduction out of the way, let's just get right into it. So for the first piece of tech here that we have lined up, we're going to be talking about the Dragon Gunner again. So we already discussed in a previous video all the options that you have out of this, you know, the options that everyone knows. The 6H plus K, you know, your P6Ps. If you're a little more advanced, you can do 7K. You have full meter, break blow, right? Very cool stuff. But now we're going to be talking about a more underrated, I think just straight up unknown option that you have. I do utilize this sometimes myself, even though it is a little bit technical. But you know, one of the changes from DOA5 to DOA6 is that we lost the ability to perform stagger escapes. Basically you were able to shake out of stuns before, you know, reducing the amount of advantage that they gave you. Now all amounts of advantage in the game are set in stone. You know, some are set to some settings that you have for stagger escape in DOA5. So yeah, you basically have no say in how much advantage you're getting out of stuff now, right? So in DOA5, a P6P would give you a plus 11 regularly, right? And this would mean that your jab and your 6P would combo. So now of course you can't do that because P6P by standard will now give you just a plus 9, right? They decreased it. But one of the things that didn't actually change was AP. AP actually still gives you plus 13, which is the same advantage that it gives currently right now in DOA5, right? So this is actually unchanged. Now you actually have enough time, and I alluded to this in the previous video. You can actually do AP after a gunner now, right? So what this means is that you basically get access to the same old 50-50 that you would of a P6P in DOA5, but you actually get it for free now. So you get this, you can combo into a mid punch, you can combo into a jab, right? So it is a very strong tool if you just want a very quick 50-50 on the opponent. Most of the time people are not going to be expecting this, so what I do is I just 8PP into 6PP, right? And that is a very strong tool because they are immediately put in a must hold situation. So it is very strong for that. And of course I don't think I need to mention that you can just immediately go into a whole thing, right? And that is also a very strong option. If they want to start holding, you can, you know, interrupt it, delay it. You have a ton of options, so it is very strong for that. And another thing, one little, I guess, bit of trivia, I don't know if I would really call this tech, but similarly like we were talking about, because stagger escaping doesn't exist anymore, all frame values are basically static, right? So stuff is a lot more consistent now. So for those aware, those in the know of the concept of unholdables, basically means that you can perform a follow-up usually on the opponent's wake up, where they can hold. They can only block the follow-up, they also can sidestep. They basically can't perform any like frame 1 actions, right? They can only block. So blocking happens in 0 frames, by the way. So yeah, they basically only have the option to block. Now 5K is 12 frames, and AK gives you a static value of plus 13. So this basically means that if I set the opponent here to critical hold, not critical hold, to react with a high hold, he will hold after the plus 13 frames, right? But if I do 5k, he can't do that. It's an unholdable. So normally unholdables, like I said, can only happen after a knockdown because of the set values on recovery when an opponent is getting off of the floor. But little known fact is that unholdables can also happen while standing. A little bit of an interruption there, but yeah, basically this is just like a neat little thing that, you know, doesn't really have a lot of application in a real match, you know, but it's just kind of like fun to know that you can do. But yeah, so now for some more options. I guess you could say some more optional things that you can do after a Dragon Gunner. We've already mentioned how 9p and its new transition is gonna leave you plus, right, on a standard now. This of course also means that on regular hit it will give you a lot of advantage. It will give you a plus 5. So you can actually perform this right after a Dragon Gunner, right? And depending on the situation, this can actually be very good, because again, a plus 5 is nothing to scoff at. And look at that, you can even sometimes get a plus 7 just because of the distance after the gunner, right? So it's a fair option that you can try sometimes, you know. After something like a plus 6, plus 7, your Dragon Stance 2k will be so fast that it will be just able to straight up just beat out some stuff, right? Messed up the timing there, right? It's a strong option that you can try explore, you know, and get creative with. And then you also have this, something that I actually used in DOA5, but again, like I mentioned, I believe was in the first part, Jann is now the only character with a triple jab string, right? So regularly there is hold jail, so the opponent can hold in between, right? It is hold a natural combo. And what this means is that, of course, like you can do P6P, you can just do your whole jab string on the opponent, right? So this immediately means that you can transition into something like the low, right? So you can do gunner into triple jab into the low, right? And all your options are available from that. So this is also a pretty strong tool in my opinion, because much like you can just do the whole thing, you can do the jab string. You see here, I can get it into the guard break, right? And they have to react to that. If they're very twitchy and they're expecting the immediate low, you know, they'll be like kind of blocking and then kind of like try to quickly block and then either get hit by the mid guard break or be put in a plus 6 situation. So you know, it's a very interesting, very I want to say like optimal way of maintaining pressure after a dragon gunner, right? So you know, it doesn't stop there. You can of course just directly go, for example, into another throw, right? Same thing, just kind of basically testing the opponent and really putting them into like a guessing situation. So that's another option that you have off of the Dragon Gunner, right? So now, as a continuation of what we were just talking about, regularly PP6P, right, this string right here is not a natural combo. Under some distances, very specifically, let me see if I can get it, like regularly, right there, you saw you can actually make that a natural combo, right? It is very rare. Now you could do this in DOA5 as well, but because of the distance related shenanigans that we already saw with the Dragon Gunner, you can actually get this somewhat consistently. I don't know, I've been testing it out in this game, You see that I didn't get the... Right there. You see? You can get it somewhat consistently in this game compared to DOA5. From my testing, it of course still requires a lot of practice, but you can actually get the whole thing to be a natural combo. Right there, I got it twice in a row. You can get the whole thing to be a natural combo and leave you at +4, right? So that is pretty good. If you can get that consistently, if you practice it enough, it is a very strong option to do after a Dragon Gunner, you know, because you're getting some damage and you're immediately putting the opponent into a gas situation. You don't even have to do the Dragon Stance follow-up, you know, and you're still +3. So that is pretty fantastic. And something that you should definitely keep in mind if you are practicing like your Dragon Gunner follow-ups. So now into another very situational, maybe not as optimal bit of tech. This was actually something, a little bit of a gimmick that me and another Jann player kind of came up with. But again, it was very gimmicky because of the existence of stagger escaping. But it was actually, it meant utilizing the switch step into your stuns as a little bit of an impromptu like reset, I guess, something like a safe throw setup, right? So normally you get some form of a stun, you do a safe throw setup, and you're able to bait out the opponent on something while still remaining plus. You can somewhat do that with 2p plus k, right? So you get something like 3p plus k, for example, and you do the switch step. Right now you see right there that it leaves you at -1. So naturally not everyone is just going to come out mashing off of a stun, unless they're like really like I guess scared of your Dragon Gunner or you're throwing them or something like that. So yeah, you can kind of utilize this to bait out a reaction of the opponent, and you can just straight out B+ if you do it after a jab stun, right? Something that I've been saying for a while now is that jab stuns are very strong in this game. Again, because of the lack of stagger escaping, just doing a simple jab follow-up already gives you +36, right? Which is pretty ridiculous. So, you know, further taking advantage of that, you can just kind of like switch step and then wait to see what the opponent does, right? And you're still +2. So technically, if they come out with something, you can just do 6p, be uncontested, right? Now a little bit of a gimmick, but you know, sometimes if you're by the wall or another situation like that, you can you know, try it out and see what results it gives you. So as a continuation of what I was just talking about, you know, jabs in general and as Jann are very strong in this game. Jab stuns are very good, you know, your triple jab string. But another specific thing that you can do, and I did have a video on this in DOA5, is that you can actually do jab launching with Jann, right? So again, this does have some use. It absolutely does. I've definitely won rounds by getting a simple jab launch, right? That just gave me the last amount of damage that I needed to take the game, right? So you get any form of stun, let's say something like a 3p, right? And then you do a jab. Now if you do a jab again, of course you blow out the stun, right? And the opponent will fall down. Now because you have so many follow-ups and so many things that you can do off of your jab string, you can actually take advantage of that and do something like that. Get a quick follow-up, right? Now another buff that Jann got is that his relaunching properties for something like BP6B got enhanced a lot in DOA6. So now you have access to stuff like this. If I can get it. There you go. Right? And that's pretty decent. That's off of a jab. So, you know, you can mess around with this. Get some ground game, right? You actually get a lot of options. And on a midweight, no less, you get to do some more stuff on lighter weights. So, you know, jab launching, it's something that you should keep into consideration. It is always available to you. You know, as soon as you get any form of stun, you know, just do this, if you're very far into the stun threshold, for example, something like that, just jab launch right away, right? So yeah, this is something that should definitely be kept in consideration. It is not tech that's exclusive to Jann Lee. Other characters, I believe every character might just be able to utilize this, so yeah, definitely keep it in mind. Jab launching. So everyone already knows that the ground game in DOA6 it's not very good, right? Because you don't really get any options for like force attacks, or at least stuff that's guaranteed, you know, in this game a lot. Some characters are the exception to that, but you know, not every character has access to setups like those. But because Jann Lee players are so big brained, we circumvent all that. So yeah, now we're going to be talking about a specific piece of tech that takes advantage of the new bound mechanic in DOA6, right? Similar to how Tekken did it at one point. You can bound the opponent now and get you know, any form of guaranteed follow-up after the launch, and that's all cool and very optimal. We also have the option of going for more setup related things. So right here we're going to be utilizing the property that the bound gives you, right? So the opponent is in a ground state the whole time that they are bounded, right there. So all your ground hitting moves will actually combo, but you can actually get a very specific timing where the move will still combo, but it will be considered a ground hit. So let me demonstrate this right now. As you saw right there, right? So in the left counter you can see that the low jab actually comboed, but it was also considered a ground hit. So the basic way that this setup works is that you just get your bound under any circumstance. I can get it again. You jab and then you low jab, right? And it is a no timing just ground hit combo that you can utilize to maintain pressure after you do your bound. Now regularly I wouldn't really recommend this in the like at mid range when you can get a lot of potential damage, but at the wall this is actually a pretty interesting option, because again you can get your regular launch, you do the setup, and then you can very easily tech up the opponent. And again, the cool thing about this whole setup is that the actual low is fully guaranteed, because it's actually comboing. So as you can see right there, I have the CPU on regular settings. They tech up. You know, they usually can tech up the CPU even with proven setups, but even through all that, this still manages to get the guaranteed ground hit, right? So you can imagine what that does on a normal opponent. So I do believe they have a window to wake up kick. I'm not super sure on that actually, but it is very small to the point where, like, yeah, it basically may be non-existent. So like I said, mid-screen like we are right now, I wouldn't really recommend it unless you can, you know, kill out the opponent with something like like another quick mix-up or something like that. But at the wall, this is actually a very strong option that I've been testing out recently, and it's given me some pretty good results. So now into covering the other possible scenario that can happen while utilizing this tech. You're saying, well, what if the opponent just techs after the bound, right? So for example, something like this, right? Well, you don't actually get the hit. That's the only way that I can actually escape out of that. But the thing is that even if they do that, you're massively plus. Right? So in that situation, even through like the tech and the 2P, and the opponent doing their fastest move, you can still beat them out with most of your buttons. I don't have the set data here, like exactly how much advantage this gives you, but it is very good. If it makes a 14 frame move beat a jab, that is very good. It's a lot of advantage. So again, the cool thing, like I was saying, is that you can normally just go for the 2P right after the setup, after you do the bound, and then you can just wait, right? If the opponent stays on the ground, we'll go for another one, tech them up. If they tech up after the first 2P, go for your pressure. If they tech immediately, just press a button, because it's free, it's guaranteed. They can't actually, like, you know, mash you out of it. If you do 9P, they can't sidestep. It will beat everything. I think it might even beat break block timing, but I'm not super sure about that. But yeah, just generally a very strong setup. Again, even though it works mid-screen, I still recommend that you utilize it at the wall most of the time, because that's where you'll be able to use it the most fail-proof, basically. So now for the last piece of tech, we have some more generic stuff that has actually been known for a while. It's pretty universal. I think this is the piece of tech that people are the most aware of, because it is using a universal mechanic, right, that was added for DOA6, and we talked about this in the wall game video, which is the new wall restand wall splats, right? So the basic gist of it is that you get the wall restand, right, and you get a set amount of advantage, right? You see right there, you get a plus 40 sometimes, depending on the distance that you do the wall splat from. But yeah, you basically get a shit ton of advantage, right? So you have free reign of just moving around, changing your positioning from the opponent, and basically getting free back turn hits, right? So again, this is universal to every character. Some other characters can make better use of it because their wall splatting moves recover much faster, but even through that, generally is still able to get some guaranteed stuff, right? It is timing related, you know, stance related. There's a lot of things that go into actually utilizing it, but you get a ton of options from it. You know, we didn't really actually cover many of his back turn options, the options that Jann has on the back turn opponent. Maybe that would be a cool idea for a future video, but yeah, just know that if you do this, as we already talked about everything in the wall game, you know, and all that stuff, even though this is more related to the tech subject, you can also utilize this. Just basically get free back turn hits on the opponent, right? Outside of everything that we've covered already. So yeah, very cool piece of tech here. Again, it is not exclusive to Jann. Every character can utilize this. And another really cool aspect about it is that even if the opponent has the ability to hold, right, as you're walking around them, but if they do, you can just simply say something like, let's see if we can recreate that scenario here. They do something like a high hold, right? Even after it, you just react and throw them, right? So, you know, even through all that, you still have the option of getting something out of it. If they know you're trying to go for the back turn tech, if you're using it consistently, and you bait them into holding, well, you can punish them for that as well, right? So yeah, that is the cool aspect of the tech, that makes it very have a lot of utility, right? And a lot of strong rewards if you do attempt it. So guys, I do believe that is going to be it, not only for this tech video but for the Dragon Guide as well. We've covered all the videos that I had set on doing related to the guide. So yeah, it was a really great learning process, you know, and I feel that I can make the format better as I keep doing it, you know. related to other things, maybe more general discussions, you know, related to the game and mechanics and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I appreciate all your suggestions, and again, I can't thank you enough for all those that watched the whole guide, you know, even going back as the combo video and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, I can't stress it enough, but any suggestions, any other things that you would like to talk to me to talk about related to the character, the game in general, you know, you can feel free to suggest those. But yeah, that's going to be it for now. Again, thank you guys so much for watching, all those that stay till the end, and I hope to see you in the next video, whatever it may be. Cheers.